And
Welcome.
perfect. Got it. Thank you, Evan. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fifth and final Entrepreneurial workshop. I am Robin Eisen, the Special Project Manager here at YEI and the YIPI Education and Partnership Manager and your host for today's Power Hour. We have talked a lot about Entrepreneurial pathways, and we started with the Entrepreneurial curriculum workshop, where we dove deep into the curriculum and learned how the program is organized and how to access the materials. We then went on to talk about the community partnerships and how to elevate your entrepreneurial learning, where we learned all about how to form and use community partnerships to help your students. After that, we tried to go a little bit deeper and we learned how to find these community partners. We took it to the next level and learned how to problem solve with these community partners and how to problem solve with real world businesses. Then we took a little turn and discussed how to start using Entrepreneur mentor maps for CTE. We took a look at those partnerships and turned some of those partnerships into mentors for our students. And now for our final piece of the program, we are going to learn how to assess the skills that they have learned in the Entrepreneur pathway. But don't worry if you were unable to attend any of the prior workshops, as each piece stands alone or can be used as a group. Plus, you can always decide to watch those past Power Hour workshops and learn more about Entrepreneur anytime you would like. And I wanted to thank you guys for noticing the music and for introducing yourselves in the chat. Please continue to use the chat all throughout the session today. I will be monitoring it and make sure that we are answering all of your questions. By the end of today's Power Hour, you will have another tool in your toolbox to help you assess your students' skills and their growth. Just last quick reminder, besides using the chat box, we will be sending you the recording from today's Power Hour, as well as any of the materials that Emily and Nadia are going to share in today's Power Hour. So feel free to sit back and listen and ask questions, take notes if you want, but know that you don't have to. I'm going to turn it over to Emily Kilgore and Nadia Mullen, both who are co-creators of the Entrepreneur Pathways curriculum and co-founders of the startup Trade Up. Emily, off to you.
Emily, you are muted.
Thank you, Evan. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily, and I am the creator of the Entrepreneurial Pathways program. Thank you so much for having us back today for another YEI Power Hour. I didn't realize we've done this 5 times. I mean, I've been in all 5 of them, but Rob just pointed out that we've been quite the informational journey with you guys this year as we have rolled Entrepreneurial out to all of you. Don't worry if you are encountering us for the first time today. I am going to take you through a brief overview of the entire program before I talk about assessment, so that you understand how the materials and resources will work for you. And I'm going to kind of step you through this before we get into assessment. So don't worry if you're like, whoa, I feel like I'm late to the party here. You're not. It's totally fine. So I'm going to screen share with you. Give me 1 second as I get that going. All right. Robin, is that good? Can you see?
It is.
Okay, awesome, cool.
I can see.
Well, it's loading, so let's give it 1 second.
It's always slower on Zoom.
It's always slower when you want it to be presenting online, right?
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to dig in today quickly and give you guys a little bit of background, because to understand Entrepreneurial and our power skill assessment, we really need to understand the foundation of what Entrepreneurial was built on. And when you guys are thinking about using Entrepreneurial, it is, first of all, entirely a free resource. So everything I'm going to show you today is available to you currently right now for no cost. We created this in the 6th District Compact, and it was generously funded by the Burton Morgan Foundation so that educators like you can access this immediately at no cost. So you're going to see a very robust resource today that is free. So it's really exciting to be able to share that news with you. I know as an educator, it's always hard to find resources, good ones especially, that help you. So I'm really excited to share this with a lot of new faces today. Second, we partnered with Young Entrepreneur Institute. So I'm going to show you today how to access those materials using their YEI platform. So if you would like to access them through YEI, you can do that as well. Okay, so EntrepreNew was created in a career and technical education program. Career and technical education is, if you're not familiar, is what you might recall when you were in school as vocational school or trade school. Now, career and technical education is the cutting edge of education because it is very experience-based, and it allows millions of students across the country to be put into a pathway before they graduate from high school, thus really developing our workforce in a whole new way. Okay, so we created this program around 3 things, and I want to go through those really quick. First is what we call global power skills, which you might call employability skills, soft skills. There was a long time we called them 21st century skills. We call them power skills because we know that entrepreneurial skill development is now workforce development. Those 2 terms are now synonymous. And that is because the workforce is changing so rapidly. As we look at the dawn of AI and technology emerging, as well as the path to freelance and contract-based work, we know that entrepreneurship is having a renaissance moment. And even if you're not starting your own business, those skills are the skills that will be demanded of our future workforce and all of us. So we work through what we call the 14 global power skills, and I'm going to give you more details on those in a second. So the whole program is designed on the fact that entrepreneurship education is no longer one of those nice to have programs that are hidden back somewhere in a school that's an elective. It is a must have for every young person entering the workforce. The second pillar that EntrepreNew is founded on is my belief that children cannot be what they cannot see. When I started teaching back in 2006, I would often have high school students that would tell me they were going into college to be whatever the most highest paying job they could come up with at the time would be. And I would see kids going down paths that were absolutely not aligned with who they were and what their skills were. And when I would bring business partners into my classroom, I would see something shift within these kids, because often children are only able to envision a career or a future for themselves by something that they've had a positive experience with. So if you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're going to often hear an answer like something their parents do, maybe a physical therapist, a veterinarian, maybe an athletic trainer, something that they've had a positive experience with that they then want to do for themselves. And those are great paths. But what I know is that when we expose young people to careers at an early age, we then allow them to see things that they may not ever see for themselves. So within EntrepreNew, we have tools for you to create a robust exposure for your students to entrepreneurs. Okay. And then we also steep the entire program in student-based project learning and experience learning with your partners, because we know that when kids have real experiences that are not from a textbook or taking notes, when they're actually doing real things, that skill development soars. Our last pillar of the program is mentorship. And this is, if you ask me, my favorite part of EntrepreNew is absolutely our mentor program. We had mentor meetings in my program today, and it is really the best part, because what we will help you set up with our program here is creating a one-on-one relationship between one of your students and an entrepreneurial mentor, so that they are able to see the entire program through the lens of a real business owner and all of those power skills. So mentorship is our third, and if you ask me, my favorite pillar of the Entrepreneurial program. Okay, so as you could probably hear from what I just introduced, all of our materials are based really deeply in partnerships. Partnerships for educators, I know, is really tricky. There were years, I was a teacher and had no structure for partnerships. So I loved working with the partners that I had, but it was always really difficult because it was time consuming. I would have these people that wanted to work with me, and I would have students that like to work with partners, but I was always reinventing the wheel. I was always trying to find a place that these people fit. So when we show you this information today about Entrepreneurial and how it was developed, we're going to give you everything you need for these partnerships. And when I say everything, we mean everything that you need to do to create the partnerships in your community, because we want this program to be, when I created it, what I envisioned was creating something that other teachers could simply pick up and use, that you didn't have to reinvent the wheel and you didn't have to spend that much time. So we give you every single thing you need for partnerships. Another note about partnerships is what I often see, and my experience led us down this road, is that when you have a partner who wants to come and work with you, it sometimes falls apart. In fact, most times it falls apart. And that is because partners well, first of all, a lot of people never have experience working in schools outside of their own school experience. So if you take a person and you put them in a high school experience, sometimes they kind of freak out because the last experience they had was their high school days, and that can be really overwhelming for them. So we provide everything your partners need to say and do with your students. So when they come in to partner with you, they don't have to create anything. They don't have to, they don't have to be uncomfortable because they have the script. They have the plan in place every time they work with you, and that gives them a lot of comfort, and it takes the brain work out of it for you. So as you look at Entrepreneurial, if you're new to it and you're looking at it today and you're like, "Ooh, that's a lot." It is a lot. And we're really excited that it's a lot, because if you implement the full program, you're going to see that it gives you your time and life back. Like it is simple and turnkey once you get it started. So I'm excited to go through all of this with you guys more today. Okay, so Entrepreneurial is designed, it was designed by me and Nadia, I don't know if Nadia's in here or not yet. I can't see the participants, but Nadia was my partner in this. She was a former student of mine, like a long time ago. And we worked with partners from all over Northeast Ohio to create this program so that we were meeting educators with the tools that we need to be preparing new entrepreneurs. Now, when we made this, it was designed for high school grades 10 through 12. Now, if you're here and you're not 10 through 12, I don't want you to run off because you're like, "Oh, that's not for me." There's a post-secondary, this fits well with post-secondary. And if you're here from middle school or grades 9, 10, there are elements of this, like our Inspiring Entrepreneur Guest Speaker Series, that might fit what you're doing really well. But if you're looking at the full program implementation, like we're going to be talking about today, you really need to think about this being for grades 10 through 12 and post-secondary. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to access the entire materials today, and we're going to talk about full program implementation, meaning you're going to implement the full program. Now, as Robin mentioned at the beginning, we have pieced apart the program throughout the year for you this year as well. So we've talked to you about like our partnership project, our mentor program, the speaker series. There are lots of ways that you can take Entrepreneurial materials and you can use bits and pieces of them. That is really great. You can make it your own. But to do that, you need to access the full curriculum. So I'm going to show you that. Okay. I also want to tell you that if you're looking at assessment, and particularly our global power skill assessment, we strongly recommend that you follow our guidebooks. Our assessment was meant to be the cherry on top of the Entrepreneur Sunday that gives you the whole package. So you have all of your materials, lesson plans, partner resources, student-based projects, and then you have an assessment to go with it. So if you're here today and you think, "Oh, I want to use a piece and part of it," I would not recommend you go through our power skill assessment as well. Okay, this is really designed for those of you that are thinking that you might implement the entire program on a larger scale starting next year. Okay, so our materials can also be accessed instantly. You can go through the process right now if you want to get those materials. They're very easy to get, and they'll be in your Google Drive within minutes. All of our materials, as I said, are experience and project-based so that those students get a really good foundation for business creation, as well as that hands-on experience with those power skills. And then we have detailed resources to create your speaker series, mentor program, and then the power skill assessment. Okay, so again, all of these are provided to you today at no cost. All right, so we're gonna take a path to assessment through the Entrepreneurial materials, okay? Because like I said, if you're looking at wanting to use our assessment, we really want you to use the entire program, okay? So today I'm gonna show you how to access those materials, the structure and key resources for that full implementation. Then I'm gonna show you our power skill assessment and give you some tools and tips for that. Then I'm gonna talk to you about data, what the outcomes look like and how I use it. And then I'm gonna talk to you if you are freaking out right now and you want some more training and help, how we can help you with that too. Okay. All right, so let's first look at accessing your materials. So you can go through YEI to do this. YEI is awesome. I have been a YEI member since it started, and I love purchasing things through there by attending events like this. And gathering up my points. I have really found one particular field trip on there that I really love with my students to Shaker Rocks. So we are on the YEI exchange. So if you want to go into your YEI account, you're just going to log in. Now, I'm not going to show you how to create an account. That is, you can walk through that if you haven't done so already. I'm sure Robin can help you with that if you have any questions, but we're going to assume you have that YEI account. So you're going to go ahead and log in. And then in the search feature, you're going to search for the Entrepreneurial. Just search Entrepreneurial. Now, we tricked you all by spelling this with that little pun in there, N-E-W. So when you spell our name, you're going to have to spell it with E-N-T-R-E-P-R-E-N-E-W, and you will see several things pop up, okay? You're going to look today for the Entrepreneurial Pathways curriculum, all right? Now, if you're like, oh, what are these other things? What are the mentor maps? What's all this? The mentor maps are built in. So all you need to do right now is access the curriculum, okay? And you can see that these materials cost you 0 points. So not only is there no cost to you, their physical cost to you or your school, there are no YEI points for this either. You can just access them through their platform. Okay, once you've done that, you're gonna see it looks like this. And then you're going to click Get the Product. So this is what you're actually going to be wanting to head yourself to, where it says Entrepreneurial Pathways Curriculum. Okay, and then it'll show you your point balance. Again, this costs you no points, but then you complete your purchase. And then you get your email. So your email will look like this. It will give you like your information on how to access your materials and how to get Entrepreneurial started for your classroom. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to then end up with Entrepreneurial curricula in your shared Google Drive. So one thing you will definitely need to have is a Google account. I'm assuming that, I guess in this day, everybody has that, but if you don't, you're gonna need to go ahead and just set up a quick Google account. And then it comes to you in this area that says shared with me, and then it looks like this. It says Entrepreneurial curricula. Okay. Once you open that, you're going to see 4 simple things. First of all, this document that says Start Here is really helpful. It has a link to a video. I believe that's also in your onboarding email too, but a video that shows you exactly what I'm showing you right now, how to access the materials, and gives you this brief explanation of what everything means, okay? And then you'll see you have 3 folders, okay? You have one that says Entrepreneurial Pathways Guidebooks, Mentor Maps, and Resources. So the Entrepreneurial Pathways guidebooks are what I want you to picture as your lesson plans. Okay, so I'm going to show you that in a second. And then your resources are where you're going to find everything, like all of the documents you're going to need, all of those resources that we have built into the program for you are under that resource folder. Now, the Entrepreneur Mentor Maps, if you're running the Mentor Maps standalone program as a CTE teacher, you're going to use that folder. If you don't need it because your Mentor Maps are built right into your guidebooks and your resources, okay? If you're confused today and you're like, wait, what did she just say? It's in our onboarding video too. So, and where it says start here, you watch that onboarding video, it's in there as well. You don't have to remember all this today. Okay, and that's where it says start here in that folder. That's what you're gonna see. There's that onboarding video, and then there's some other instructions and stuff in there as well. Okay, once you've accessed your materials and you look in your resources folder, this is what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a numbered list of resources. And then when you look in your guidebook folder, this is what you're gonna see. You're gonna see 10 guidebooks or lesson plans. Okay, so that is how you get to your materials. And if you have any questions about that, I'm sure you can reach out to Robin at any time or someone at the YEI team, or you can reach out to us after the fact and we can help you with it too. Okay, if you wonder why I'm talking really fast, it's because I want to fill this hour with all of the information for you. So let's go ahead and dig into full implementation. So like I said, if you're here today and you're like, I don't want to do the whole thing, totally fine. Go ahead and listen. There are pieces you can pull out of this that are amazing. I'm going to touch on those. But those of you looking to understand the assessment, I want you to also understand full implementation. Okay, so let's get started here with our Power Skill Glossary. So when I told you we worked with entrepreneurs to create Power Skills, we actually held a round of focus groups with entrepreneurs from all over pathways that are represented in Ohio's workforce. So we had people from all over helping us to determine what the content of Entrepreneur would be. And when we were having those focus groups, they were really focused on not teaching kids to create a business plan. We had to keep kind of dragging them back to that because what our focus groups were telling us is that we need to teach kids how to have a difficult conversation, how to really search for help, how to network, how to really understand how to talk about their ideas. Those were the themes that were so common throughout our focus groups. So what we did after that time is we took everything that we learned from them and we were then able to categorize those conversations into what we think are the 14 most important skills that we then called the global power skills. Now our assessment links back to these 14 skills. Okay, so, and as we look at the program materials, which I'm going to get into in a second, you'll see that we have our entire program linked also to the instruction of these skills. So I want to start with the end in mind here. These are our 14 skills. They are adaptability, collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, curiosity, goal focus, entrepreneurial initiative, judgment and decision-making, networking, professionalism, research, resilience and persistence, and the ability for self-assessment. Okay. Now, when we created this list, we also worked with Kent State's Bureau of Research and Statistics. So they were able to take what our focus group said was very important, get it down to these 14 skills, and then we were able from that point to define what we meant for each of these skills based on what our focus groups told us. So if you want to take a look at this, this will show you how we really define creativity. Okay, so some of these terms, like if you think about creativity can kind of mean a lot of different things depending on who you're talking to. So our definitions of our global power skills are here for you. And this is how we teach in the guidebooks, and I recommend that you teach, and this is what we will assess on. Okay, so those are that's the power skills. Now, how we link them to your materials is in our outline. And again, this is all part of the resources that you're going to be looking at when you access Entrepreneurial if you haven't already. So this will show you a very high level version of each of the guidebooks. So a guidebook is a lesson plan, and then the corresponding lessons that go with it help us to see how we then start to develop the structure for full implementation for Entrepreneurial, and therefore teaching those global power skills. Okay, so you can see here, it's very robust. We have 10 guidebooks, and each has anywhere from 1 to 4 lessons. Okay, now our program was designed to be a full year implementation, though you really could get it into a semester. There are ways, and we recommend some ways that you can kind of pace this, so you can get it into a semester. It also depends on how long your classes are. So when we look at pacing in our guides, we're going to show you that it's based on 45-minute lessons. So when you have maybe a block schedule situation or a semester course, maybe with more time, there are ways you can make this faster. Okay, so that is the outline. Now, as we look at resources and guidebooks, I want to just help you understand a few things. So I'm going to click into my resources folder. So what you're going to see is that you have numbered lists. So your resources will look just like mine. So see here where it says 102 guidebook 9 slides, 100 workbook legal considerations when starting a business. Those are the numbers of the resources that you're going to be using that are referenced in your guidebooks. So when we look at your guidebooks or your lesson plans, let me show you that folder. Sorry, things are loading so slowly here today. Okay, so when you look at your guidebooks, these are the step-by-step instructions you'll take as a teacher. And then within each of those, we're going to say, okay, in this guidebook, you're going to need resource number 100, or you're going to need resource number 18. So then you go to your resource folder to get those documents. So we make it very easy for you to find the tools that you need from your resource folder. Now you'll see in your resources, we have a lot of different Google applications. So most things are Google Docs. We also have Google Slides, there's Google Forms, and then there's a few PDFs, and then there's a few Google Sheets. Okay, so what I like about this is that it makes this very easy for you to share on your learning management system. So if you are a Google school, it's so easy breezy, lemon squeezy for you to get into an assignment, put in your document right from your drive, go ahead and make that copy for your students. You know, you can link it all up in there, and it is so simple. Now, if you are not a Google school, this does give you the opportunity to get these into your other learning management systems too. So there's no reason to be logging into software. There's no downloading. Everything is right here in a Google Drive for you. And then in the event that changes or updates are made to Entrepreneurial in the future, you would just get a new link that has the newer version. Okay, so that is why everything comes to you in a Google form. Okay, now let's get into, if you're thinking about full implementation, I really want to walk you through what one of our lesson plans look like. And when we tell you, we give you everything, I hope the next few things I'm going to show you really illustrate that we're going to give you everything. I really wanted this to be simple. It doesn't on the surface look simple. Some of you are like, that's a lot. And it is, because I wanted it to be a lot. I wanted you to be able to have just the weight of teaching entrepreneurship off of your brain. Okay, here you go, everything you need. So when I show you these next few things, I hope it illustrates for you how thorough this resource is for you. Okay, so this is your guidebook. This is the teacher's guidebook. All right, and there's 10. So you're gonna clearly start with 1 and go all the way up through 10. And then they look like this. So you're gonna have just your table of contents. It kind of overviews each lesson, what we're going to be looking at with each lesson. And then as you get into it, we're going to show an overview of the guidebook. Okay, so it goes to start breaking it down a little bit more. So into key ideas and concepts. Okay, And then this is where we're starting to link to what is the focus in this particular guidebook for those global power skills. So you can see in this particular sample of a guidebook, we're looking at guidebook 9. So this is very near the end of your Entrepreneurial program. We are looking at these power skills. So you can see there's a lot in this one. And as you work through Entrepreneurial, you will notice that there's not just one guidebook about networking. Networking comes up in multiple guidebooks because these skills are not taught in isolation. We go through the entire program with these skills popping in and popping out, okay? You'll also start to see, as you look at your guidebooks, that you'll see these confidence statements. So if we just look here at curiosity, it says, I feel confident in my ability to explore new ways of acquiring information. I feel confident in my ability to develop and ask questions persistently. You're probably wondering, like, what's that? Well, that is what links back to our power skill assessment. Our power skill assessment is a direct link to confidence statements. So the students are going to get an opportunity to assess themselves, and they'll say, how confident do I feel in my ability to explore new ways of acquiring information? Okay. So those confidence statements that you're going to see are going to popcorn in and out throughout all the guidebooks so that they have a really robust chance to experience them all several times by the end of Entrepreneurial. Okay. I also really like this part of Entrepreneurial programming because it gives me, if you are a teacher that needs to have like turn-in lesson guides or talk about student outcomes, it gives it all to you. So you can literally just give, like, if you still have to turn in lesson plans or lesson curriculum maps, this is how you can link those things together, okay? And then it shows you the outcomes. So this is what you're gonna see are the project-based, experience-based elements of Entrepreneurial. This is what your students are actually gonna do. Okay, so using our resources, the projects and all the partnerships that we have, your students are going to be able to do these things by the time they complete guidebook 9. And you can see that's not a small list, okay? And then we get down to the resources. So like I showed you before, you have your guidebooks in that first folder, you have your resources in the second folder. This tells you in guidebook 9, these are the resources that you need. So you need resource 96, my business roadmap. Okay, so I need to go to my resource folder, boop, 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 boop. Oh, look, there's 96, my business roadmap. Okay, and that's how you use the resource folder. So you don't have to sort through this and understand each of these at one time. That's nonsense. All you got to do is look at, as you go, guidebook by guidebook, what are the resources I need today? Okay, so with this one, I need 96, 97, 199. Okay, so those resources you pull out as needed. Okay, so when you open that resource folder, don't freak out. We're going to walk you through every single time you need a resource by numbering it and telling you. Okay. All right, then you'll see in the resources, you'll sometimes see some links like this. See where it's a little linky icon that says video, Bounce Innovation Hub's Introduction to Feasibility Workshop. Well, that's going to take you to a link on a website. In this case, it's going to take you to Entrepreneur's website. But in some cases, you're going to see we've linked you out to a YouTube video or a cool website or different resources that's going to help you teach the materials that we're giving you. Okay, so there's no trying to find websites that you need to go source those for yourself. We got them all for you. Okay, so these are the material resources that you'll be using as you teach guidebook 9. Okay, and then there's a little optional resources of stuff that we suggest you add in if you want to. Okay. And then there's any physical materials we suggest that are also there as well. Okay, so now let's get into what a lesson looks like. So that part that I just showed you was really the overview of the guidebook. Okay, so now guidebook 9 is made up of 3 lessons. So let's look at a lesson. Oh, sorry, going the wrong way. Okay, so lesson 1 is on feasibility. So you can see this introduction here. It's going to talk about what you're going to do. And then it's going to tell you recommended pacing. Now, as an educator, I always kind of get annoyed when somebody would give me a resource that gave me recommended pacing, because it's like, I am not in your classroom. I don't know your situation, and every single teacher and classroom is different, even from year to year, sometimes day to day. So pacing, I just want you to know, like, we pace it off my schedule, which is 45-minute classes. Okay, so if you have more than that or less than that, then I would recommend that you think about, like, if I have a block period, I could probably do 2 of these lessons today. That's what I would suggest you start with, but you know your class is best, and you'll get the hang of pacing like you do with everything else. Okay, and then it tells you the exact GPS focus of the lesson, and then it gets into your implementation. So this is what you're going to do with your students each day. Okay, so, or when I say day, each class period. Okay, so a day is a class period. So during day 1, you're going to do these 3 things. Okay, and then the next day, you're going to do these things. So we really make this very thorough for you as you guys start to work through this with your class. It gives you absolutely everything you need, including samples and suggestions on what to say with them. Okay. Now, when you are working through our guidebooks and you see this black block with this little map marker in it, those are just call outs of really important things you might want to be thinking about. Okay. So those are like, hey, pay attention to me kind of moments as you're working through your guidebooks. Okay. So then it just keeps on going. So that was lesson 1. Now, lesson 1, as you can see, had a lot in it. Lesson 2 goes on to the next section. So some lessons take a day. Some lessons will take you, the pacing will be recommended for multiple days. So it just kind of depends where you are within the EntrepreNew program. Okay. So you can see here, lesson 2 in this guidebook only spans 4 class periods, so 4 45-minute sessions. So when we think about a lesson, it has multiple elements to it that can span a couple days, or can span, in our longest one, it can span, like 2 weeks. Okay, so I hope that gives you a better idea of what your resources and guidebooks are going to get you to. Now, I want to just show you a few quick other things. So we do provide you those complete lesson plans. All right, I just showed you that. There's 10 guidebooks, so that's going to take you through the full program. Now I want to show you quickly what a student project will look like. So this is our business roadmap. Now, while our focus groups did say, like, we need to focus on power skills, we also know that thinking about business planning is really important too. But we also in EntrepreNew recognize that kids are high school kids. So creating a robust business plan is not our lane, okay? There are resources for that. And I'm sure you guys, if you're teaching high school business, you've found those. What we look at is a roadmap, or what you might want to consider like as concept development, okay? So when we think about business planning, we look at it as a high level, like overview kind of map of what they would do if they were going to start a business. Okay. And I'm showing you this so you can see that our student materials are also really great. Okay. So they're well designed. The students work on them interactively, and they work a lot in teams and with their mentors, so that these materials are really good for them as well. Okay, because
Emily?
Yes.
Emily, before we get too far away from the SWOT analysis discussion, you did have a question in the chat about that.
Oh, thanks.
Someone asked if the juniors and seniors at K-12 level have any trouble with the SWOT, lean canvas, feasibility analysis, etc.
Nope. No, it's so I do this with 11th graders that are brand new to the concept. And we give you all the tools to help you explain this to them. And we look at it from a really entry-level perspective. So it's actually one of the best parts, like in my opinion, one of the best parts of EntrepreNew. They do really well with it. So give it a try. Okay, so those are student projects. Now, when you create your partnerships, we also give you all types of partner resources. So for example, here I'm going to show you things you're going to give to your partner. So if you're going to run the mentor program, we create all of those resources you need. So you don't have to do this. So at the beginning of the year, when you set up your mentor meeting dates, here's all the mentor meeting topics, and then you can just go in and edit this document with your date and information in it. Okay, so we give you the pieces and parts for your partnerships as well. Okay, and this explains everything to your mentor for you. So you don't even have to take all the brain work out of it for you. You just give this to your mentors, and it tells them exactly what they need to expect and do. Okay, and that's just one of, I wish I could spend hours here telling you guys about partner resources and student projects, but time is of the essence here. We also, like I mentioned to you, not only do we make it easier with our resources for you to build your partnerships, we give you the guidance to give to your partners as well. Okay, so no one comes into your classroom and feels nervous. Everybody's got the plan. Everybody's got the script. So one part of Entrepreneurial that I really like is the Inspiring Entrepreneur Guest Speaker Series. So when you are partnering with someone and asking them to come and speak to your students, they're not freaking out like, well, what am I going to say to this group of kids? Here you go. This is a customizable document for you. You put the location in, and then it gives them what to expect. And this is all editable for you because Google Docs, you can change it however you want. And then it gives them how to prepare. And then it even goes so far as giving them suggested talking points. Okay, so, and these all link back to those global power skills. So you don't have to create anything for them. You just can edit this document, put your details in, and send it off to your partners. So easy. Okay, and then if you're like, oh, well, that sounds cool, but how do I create a mentor program? Well, we give you those guides too. So if you want to create the speaker series, the mentor program, all of this entrepreneurship in the larger economy workshop. Well, here's a resource. You can see this is labeled resource number 4. This is how you do that. Okay, so this is your instructions on how to create that mentor program. It gives you our suggestions on in-person or virtual meetings. It talks to you about student safety. It talks to you about implementation. So we give you this massive tool to help you figure out how to bring those partners in. So you don't have to come up with that plan. We just help you implement ours. Okay, and then the last thing that we have for you in all of the materials are some web-based resources and workshops. Like I said, in the guidebooks, we're going to link you a lot to websites. Some of those are going to be on Entreprenews website itself, because we have these program resources. So for example, our speaker series lives right here. So if you want to incorporate some speaker series pieces into your classroom, but you don't necessarily can pull people in, well, we've got lots of speakers that we've pulled and created videos for you here. Okay. There's also other resources you'll see in your guidebooks that we reference, like our workshops. Several guidebooks pull you into our website to look at the workshops, like the legal considerations when starting a business. There's a feasibility workshop, and then there's a social media writing workshop. So those, when you see them linked in your guidebooks, are going to take you right here, which is going to give you a very big video that you use with your kids in your classroom, as well as guidance on when to stop it and talk about things and stuff like that. So that's where you find those. So hopefully what you can see from these samples that I've shown you today, that if you're thinking about full implementation of Entrepreneurial, we have given you all the tools, resources, and support to make that easy for you, interactive and awesome for your students, and super simple for your business partners. And then if you're here today and you're like, I don't want to do that crazy full implementation, I just want to learn about the speaker series, then you can pull those pieces and parts out too. Nothing's stopping you from going ahead and using those pieces however it would work for your classroom. Okay. Now let's talk about that power skill assessment, because a lot of you guys I think are here today to learn about how we use this piece. So this was created by our through our focus groups. So as we looked with those entrepreneurs during that year of planning, we looked at those 14 power skills and we said, how are we going to teach it? How are we going to define it? How are we going to assess it? Okay. So we created that Then it was peer reviewed by a series of assessment professionals here within the Akron Sixth District Compact area. Then we pilot tested the program in 2 phases. And then we ran this assessment through Kent State Bureau of Research and Statistics, did an independent validity and reliability study on this assessment as well. Okay, so this is a cool tool. I really think it's going to help you guys if you're looking for assessment tools for those entrepreneurial mindset skills, and particularly our 14 power skills. Okay. So we pulled data on the growth of those 14 power skills. That is what our assessment looks at. And it's to be used with full implementation. So if you're looking at maybe pulling some of our individual lessons out or just using the speaker series or mentor program, I would not suggest that you use this for data. Now, you could go ahead and use it just to see if your kids grow. That no one's ever going to stop you from that. But if you're going to use our assessment to submit your data for any reason, I would recommend full implementation of EntrepreNew. Okay. Now, let me explain how our assessment works. So we look at the assessment from 2 perspectives. We look at it from the teacher perspective and the student perspective. So every time you take the assessment, the student does a version of it and the teacher does a version of it. Okay, so there's a pre-assessment, which takes place in guidebook 1. So as you start EntrepreNew, one of the very first lessons we have is that you have your students take that pre-assessment. Okay. Then again, a mid-assessment. So in my case, I give this again in December. So right at the semester break, it aligns with our school's semester exams. They take their mid-assessment in guidebook 6. And then at the very end, the last guidebook, or when you're done with EntrepreNew, whatever that timeline looks for you in your classroom, you're then going to give the post-assessment. So you're going to get 3 data points that are going to help you look at student growth. Okay. So I want to show you here what our assessment looks like. It's built in a Google form. Now the assessment is the same each time. So the questions remain the same. Okay. So the point in time they take it changes, but when you give it to them, the questions will remain the same. Oh, I'm sorry. This is linking to the guidebook. I was going to show you the guidebook and how we instruct you to do it, but I don't want to get into that because we're kind of running out of time. But it is a Google form and a shareable link. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your copy of it. You can look at it, and then you're going to share this form out with your students. So I posted on Google Classroom. I just post the link out, that shareable link, and then they can go in and complete it. This is really taking a second to load. I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay. So they're going to put in their information, their email address, and then you're asking them, which assessment are you taking? So at the beginning of the program, they're taking the pre-assessment. In the middle of the program, they're taking the mid-assessment. And at the end of the program, they're taking the post-assessment. Okay. Now you can see this is the student version. So they're looking at confidence statements. Uh-oh. Okay. Robin, are we still here? Are we still connected?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, we are
Okay.
all still here. You are doing great. We do have about 7 more minutes, and you do have 1 question waiting for you in the chat. So just so you know, timing.
Perfect. Okay. So these are confidence statements. So students are going to assess themselves based on how they feel they are confident in each of those skills. Okay. And you're going to give that to them 3 times. Now the teacher version is a little different. We're running out of time. So I'm going to just show you the teacher version. Looks very similar, but you're going to look at each student individually. So it's going to give you a chance to put the student's name in, and you're going to say on each of those areas, where do you see them? So likely what you're going to find is that at the end of the year is that they have grown in some of these skills, hopefully a lot of them. Now, what I've seen after doing Entrepreneurial for multiple years now is that you're going to have some kids that come in very confident in some of those skills and some that they don't. But by the end of the year, what we're looking for is that they have made growth in all of them. Okay. So when you look at your data, what you're going to see is you're going to get collective data. So you're going to get collective data for your whole class, and you're going to get student individual data. So you can view that in Forms, Google Forms, and you can view it in Google Sheets. So I'm just, hopefully this will load. Okay, so if you look at the responses, what you're going to see is this, something like this. You guys have all seen the back end of a Google form, so hopefully if my computer decides that it's not going to load this, you understand what I'm talking about. But it's going to show you the individual or the collective data, and it's going to show it to you in like the pie charts that often come from Google Forms. Now, if you don't want that, you can load it in Sheets, which allows you then to look at students individually. You can sort that data. It allows you to be much more manipulative to what you're doing with the results by sorting and stuff like that at the end if you need to. Now this is not loading, so I'm not going to waste our time waiting for it. Now, how do I use data is something that I want to talk about really quickly. So I use data in a couple ways. First of all, I really like it for student self-assessment. I think that's really important that the students can then start to begin to see where they're growing, what their what their power skills are that they're really good at, and where they need help and support. Okay, so student assessment, we talk about this all the time. I have kids who are like, I don't like doing this. This is really difficult for me. And I'm like, yep, that's because that's not one of your power skills. That's not one you really are great at. So how can we find support and services for you to help you with that skill? Okay, so student assessment is the #1 way I use the data. Second is parent communication. So this is really helpful to talk to a parent in a conference situation to be like, your student is doing really well. They struggle with time management. Here's how I know that. Look at all this data I've got on it. Okay, placing students. So when I think about placing my students in a work-based learning experience, an internship, whether they're going to be moving forward, starting a business of their own, this data is very helpful. And then I also use it for teacher assessment. So I submit this data and as my assessment tool. If you have the ability to do that, you can. One note about that, I really recommend you run EntrepreNew once and try all this before you start submitting this data for your own teacher assessment. Okay, Robin, how am I doing? I feel like
you're doing good. We do have some questions, but I don't want to end. I mean,
no, that's
you're
that's
ready.
good. What I was going to tell you guys next is how I can help you guys if you guys need help. So let's go ahead with those questions first.
Okay, so one question was from Clinton Day, and he wanted to go back and ask you about who has approved this content so far. Has it been approved by the school board's career and tech usage, or who has looked at this?
Well, first of all, hi, Clinton. This is the second meeting I've been in with Clinton this week. He's a mentor. He's been a mentor for EntrepreNew. So yeah. So, okay. So EntrepreNew is a resource like any other tool that you guys could use. So if you're looking at any resource and tool, you're going to need to get approval for that based on whatever your individual school situation is. Okay. So as far as approving it, I mean, we give you all the stuff you might need for that, but that's a school by school situational process that you would need to find out who needs to approve your curriculum.
Okay. And then he has also asked if you could show something again, but I've asked for us to just wait on showing it again till the very end.
Yeah, I can stick on after. I know we have a tight, because we promised to keep this to an hour. So if you guys want to stay on after, I'd be happy to show you anything else you want more details on.
Great. Thank you. It won't be too long. I know it's just technology. Are there any other questions? Emily, there is so much information here.
Yeah,
Clinton,
it's a
you had
lot.
another question that looked like you raised your hand there. I thought I saw that.
Robin, before you get into that, just for everybody who feels like this is a lot. So first of all, you can reach out to me for support. also YEI. If you would like to look at training, professional development services, things like that, let me know. If you want to look at how to break it out, Robin has, at the beginning said, we did power hours on how to use different pieces of the program. So today feels like a lot because I'm trying to give you the full thing really quickly. But if you want to learn about that speaker series or the problem solving project or the mentor program, go back through YEI's power hours because those are really us breaking those down for you.
Well, I just have a final follow-up question, but I have to compliment you and Nadia. This is beautiful stuff. I mean, this is high quality. I mean, we're talking, university level easily. You've done a magnificent job bringing this together. One of the best I've ever seen.
Thank you, Clinton. Clint, like I said, Clinton's been involved with us for a while, so he saw this in pilot phases. So thanks.
Well, I just really got close to the mentoring phase, but it was spectacular, very well structured. But my question is, didn't you get this particular curriculum approved by your own school district in Northeast Ohio?
Yeah.
Somebody did approve it.
Oh, yeah.
I just want the others to know that.
Yeah. So, yep, it's so we created within the 6 District Compact, which is a career and technical planning center, and in the Woodridge local school district. So yeah, they were big champions of the creation and approval of what we have created here for you guys to use.
So there's precedent. If you go to your authority and ask for approval, it's been vetted, so to speak.
Yep. Yes. And we did run it through 2 other, we ran through a pilot program too. So we've used it in other schools as well. So there are other schools that have had success with it too.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for all your. Okay.
I'm headed to Google as soon as I learn how to do it.
Robin, we finished with 3 minutes to spare.
Thank you. We always have a couple announcements at the end just because we have so much great content and great things to share. But I do appreciate you and Nadia sharing this fantastic Entrepreneurial pathways from beginning to end here. It is a comprehensive program, and I love that you can do as little or as much of it as you want. So thank you for all of your time and sharing this with all of our participants. Before we end, I am going to turn it over for a couple quick announcements from Eileen Frankel. Eileen, are you still on, or do you want me to do the announcements? You there, Eileen? Okay, I'm not going to turn it over to Eileen. I'm just going to let everybody know that we have 2 upcoming power hours. The first one is going to be on April 10th. It is a Wednesday. That is something new for us. We normally do them on Thursday, but we are going to be doing them on Wednesday for the next 2 times. The next one will be about entrepreneurship through the lens of a lemonade stand. And we're going to have both the Lemonade Day National people come on, as well as 3 fantastic authors, who have written books about lemonade stand. And some of them include materials on marketing and finance. Others include materials on SEL and culturally appropriate lemonade stands. Really a whole host of information, and we'll also have, of course, an educator point of view. We also have one on Wednesday, May 1st, and it's all about professional development opportunities. So these include professional development opportunities from the University of Iowa and Biz Innovator, as well as Who Owns the Ice House. If you have that book, there's a lot of professional development opportunities stemming from that from ELI, as well as Kent State University and the Keep Academy will have other professional development opportunities that we're going to go over on that power hour. Look for emails for that. Evan has dropped or will drop or has dropped, I see, a survey in our chat. Please take a second to review that and to do the survey. We do look at every single comment, every concern. We really want to try to bring you professional development power hours that are meeting your needs, that are talking about topics that you are interested in. And then the last thing is for joining us today. In our follow-up email, you will get a code. It is MAR14PH, just putting it out there now in case you want it. It is a code for 100 extra Yippee points. And I am going to stay on and talk about Yippee after Emily talks about how to access these Google Drives again. I do want to end only because we do have other people who do need to make it to other places and things. We appreciate you joining us today. I know there's lots of things vying for your time, and for you guys to take an hour out of your schedule today to listen and learn all about the Entrepreneurial pathway. We just want to say thank you. And hopefully we will see you soon, either on a power hour or maybe on a call or maybe in the Google Drives. So thank you. We are officially ended. So Emily, the question that we would like you to answer again, if you can, is to show us how you get to those Google Drives. Did I say it correctly, Clinton? Yeah. Okay.
Assuming you have a workspace program account.
Hey, Emily, can I take this?
Sure.
So I'm actually going to share my screen, if that's all right.
And this is Nadia, for those of you who
Hi,
don't know
yes,
Nadia.
I'm sorry. I'm the other half of the team.
Yes.
So when you go through the registration process, you will get a link, and that link will include this video, and you'll have essentially you'll have an onboarding process. So if you want, we can show you how to go make those copies, but you also have at the EntrepreNew website, you have several videos that take you step by step through some of the pieces, like how do I get my resources from YEI shared drive into my LMS? How do I make sure that I'm sending the right link to my students so they're getting the right part of the assessment? You have these sort of step-by-step how-to videos available as part of your onboarding. But essentially, and let me make sure that I can toggle my tabs here. Let's see if this works. You will end up going to a shared drive that will you'll get a link and you'll end up in a shared drive that looks like this. And when you go to access the materials, you're just going to open them up, right click, and make a copy. And what that'll do is drop the material right into your own drive so that you have access and you have one that you can manipulate, change, etc., and use however you want. So again, you get all of that in that little video, and it's part of your onboarding, or it's part of your welcome email when you get access. So you'll have all of the stuff, the resources, the pathways, guidebooks, and the mentor maps. And then you pick and choose the individual resource you want to use. And you'll right click and you'll make a copy directly into your Google Drive. If you don't have Google, or say you don't use Google Classroom, you'll have the option to download the item, and then you can, again, manipulate it and use it however you would any other resource.
Well, not only is the curriculum first class, your technical setup and using Google is first class. Everything's been done in, absolutely brilliant manner. I just can't compliment it enough.
Hey, Clinton, I don't want you to think I forgot. I saw your email after we were in a thing Tuesday together, so I haven't forgotten to message you. It's just been a really insanely busy week.
No.
So if you want,
a couple of weeks will be fine.
No, I'm going to connect with you tomorrow, so I can help you with this more if you need more help.
Thank you for all this. Wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks for your support.
Does anybody else want to unmute or have a question that they would like to put in the chat for Emily or Nadia before we sign off? Am I missing?